Today's homily is longer, a bit longer than normal. Just a warning. Sisters and brothers, if we want to recover or rediscover the story and the meaning of the Eucharistic celebrations, we need to enter into the spirit of Jesus himself when he said, "Do this in memory of me." The main themes of life can be characterized as Eucharistic. If we understand these four themes, then we will be able to connect our Eucharistic celebration on Sunday and our daily lives. And if we don't understand these four themes, then there will be a disconnect between our faith in the Eucharist and our daily lives. And that is the problem for us. So, this was foreshadowed in Jesus' institution of the Eucharist as the Last Supper, when Jesus summed up the meaning of his life in four classic gestures of taking. He take the bread, blessing, he give thanks, he break and he gave. Jesus lived the Eucharist throughout his life. But in order to keep his way of living alive, he knew that he had to pass it on through symbolic gestures. The meaning of life of Jesus is contained in these words and gestures. So for us Christians, the Eucharist is unique and important because it is the way of keeping in touch or staying connected with Jesus and living his life. There are four traditional themes of our Eucharistic spirituality. First is memoria. You can use other terms like memory or remembrance. Memory has always played an important role in religious people. We all have a very human need to remember, because although we live in the present, we live from our past and we draw life from our past by remembering. When the Jews remember all the marvelous things that Yahweh has done for them, this sense of gratitude would well up within them. They will burst forth in songs of praise and thanksgiving. Jesus, also as part of this long Jewish heritage, he had a vivid memory of all that Yahweh did for the Jewish people. As he himself gradually discovered his own identity and mission, he experienced what God was doing in him, for him, and through him. And this became part of the conscious, grateful memory of God's marvelous deed within him. So when Jesus celebrated the first Eucharistic meal with his disciples, he was expressing with them and for them his gratitude towards the Father for all that his life has meant. So when Jesus said, "Do this in memory of me," he knew the importance of memory in order for us to live his life. But Jesus did not institute the Eucharist to fulfill his own need. It's for our need. It is not that Jesus needs to be remembered, but we need to remember Him in order to live His lives. Jesus wants us to remember Him by a particular act, that is the celebration of the Last Supper, the Mass. This was an act by which He symbolically but really, in anticipation of the bloody sacrifice on the cross, offered Himself to the Father and for our salvation. In this sense, the Eucharist is a memorial gift left by Jesus to His church, so that those who believe in Him may remember Him and draw life from Him. So sisters and brothers, the Christian is the person with the vivid memory of Jesus. If there is one word you must remember and never forget, it's the word Jesus. A memory which is founded in a strong sense of gratitude for what God's love has done for us through Jesus. Hence, our spiritual life must be rooted in gratitude. That is the clearest sign of the Spirit in your life. A grateful person is a joyful person. Like the Jews, the basic attitude of our prayer should be of gratitude and thankfulness to God. Eucharist means thanksgiving. A Eucharistic life is one that is lived in grateful remembrance of Jesus. Gratitude and thanksgiving because of the salvation He has wrought for us through His suffering, death, and resurrection. And the scriptural text chosen for our habit number 7 for mindful living, I chose 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18, when St. Paul said, rejoice always, this joy. Pray without ceasing, unceasing prayer, and give thanks to God at every moment. This is the will of God, your vocation as Christians. Give thanks to God at every moment. So gratitude is a very good practice of Christian mindfulness, because everything is gift. We see life without glass is gratitude. Everything is gift, and we give thanks. So mindfulness is the practice of being present. Second theme, presence. We can say the Eucharist is like a souvenir gift left by Jesus to His church for us to remember Him. Now, an ordinary souvenir gift, like a photo, will remind us of the giver. Nothing more than that. So if you give me a picture, a photo to remember you, I will have a very useful memory aid to help me remember you. But that memory aid, that picture or photo is not you. It does not contain you. It only points to you. Whereas in the Last Supper, in our Mass, the Eucharist, the memory aid which Jesus left us to remember Him is more than a reminder. In this reminder, Jesus is contained. He becomes really present among us. What He gives us in the Eucharist is His own body and blood, Himself. In this sense, this souvenir or memorial gift left us by Jesus is unique because He makes the remembered truly present in all His living reality. Now, When we say that the Lord is truly and really present among us in the Eucharist, we do not mean that He is so-called just there, a mere static sort of physical presence. No, it's not that. Rather, it's a dynamic personal presence because He's fully alive. He's fully alive. What do I mean? For example, I can be present in the office without being present to the other two staffs in the same office because my mind may be preoccupied with so many things. I may not even be aware of their presence. Or I may walk by someone without noticing. I walk past the sacristy, walk past so many of you. In this, I am present locally or physically, but not personally to you. It's not a mindful, personal presence. So Jesus' personal presence is also a dynamic presence. It has a movement and direction. So today, even when we said, the stillness, meditation is a search for stillness. That stillness is a dynamic stillness. It has movement and direction. So His presence is not simply being here, being with us. It's the dynamic being here with us and for us, for you, for me, and for others. From experience, we know that a dynamic personal presence is not easy because it demands a mindfulness or attentiveness which is not always available, very challenging. You have to keep on cultivating that. Not always available to others and also from others because we are not living in the present. But for Jesus, He is always present. God is presence. Always present, mindful of us and for us, and loving and serving us in a way which only He, in a glorified state, is capable of, no matter whether we respond to Him or not. This is so because of His intense desire and intentions to be for others, for you and for me. Jesus is a man totally for others. Therefore, to live the Eucharistic life is to cultivate this same profound respect for the presence of others. To be willing to be present with and for others who are in need of us. That we can say, thank you, so and so. When I was in need, when I was grieving, you were present with me and for me. Presence. Very often we say, thank you for your presence. And that is what the practice of meditation and mindfulness is all about. The practice of the presence of God in the present moment, here and now. We love and serve in the present, here and now, not tomorrow. So we must learn to cultivate this presence to the practice of habits 6 and 7. Because if we don't cultivate this presence, then there will be a disconnect between our faith in the real presence of Jesus, in the Eucharist. This is a sacramental dimension, and His presence in other people and in our daily life. This is a contemplative dimension on a deeper level. If not, we are caught up only in the ritual. We have this well-known Vietnamese Zen monk, Thich Nhat Hanh, very popular, next to Dalai Lama. He says the best gift to another person is our mindful presence. That is typical Buddhist practice, mindfulness. Of course, we Christians may prefer a loving presence. But then, how can a father be a loving presence to his daughter when he is not being present and attentive to her? Is being present, attentive, and listening to another person is an act of love. So today, two themes: memory, grateful memory, and presence. I will continue with the next two themes next week.